What is going on, fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives Make Money on the Trainer podcast. So, I'd like to start this episode off by apologizing to my podcast audience. Yeah, because for the last fucking 2 weeks, I've looked at my podcast like microphone thing and it had a red emoji on it. And I didn't know what that meant. But then when it wasn't picking up mine in your audio to start this podcast, the red emoji means that the fucking microphone wasn't plugged in, which means like for the last 2 weeks, the audio on my podcast has probably been absolute dog shit.
And that means it's been dog shit.
For like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I literally looked at that little red emoji. I was like, what's that doing there? And then I looked, I was like, oh, it's not recognizing. I had to like unplug and replug it back in.
That means the audio on my podcast has been shit poop balls too.
Oops. Well then, that's
Can't
fucking
be
funny.
perfect, you know? We
It
can
can't
get
be
damn
perfect.
close, but
So-
it can't be perfect.
So podcast audience, I apologize. We are back. We got crispy audio at this point. And today we are going to be discussing your friends holding you back.
Yes, we are going to be talking about your friends holding you back. Are you excited?
Why are we talking like this though?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Are you holding me back?
Okay. So this conversation comes because part of the growth that Kirsten and I have both had to go through in the last few years have been really looking at the people that we're spending time with and auditing whether or not these people are beneficial to our life and our goals. And I don't like to look at, this podcast is going to be a little bit more direct because I don't necessarily think that it's every single person that I have in my life has to be advancing me towards the things that I want.
Oh,
But I also do believe that there are certain people that are in my life that do not have my best intentions in mind that like do end up holding me back. And so this conversation is about the people that you spend the most time with and whether or not they are indeed impacting your success.
yeah. So I think looking at our life, particularly, I always look at Brian and always like, you're my constant. We've just been a constant. Like, I think he's the one thing that kind of like the whole world can be changing around us, but our relationships doesn't stay the same. It grows, but you're always there. But over the course of the last like 6 years together, we've like, I don't want to say lost, we've let go of quite a few friendships and business partnerships and things that weren't serving us. And we've both gone through some pretty like challenging emotions with that. But it also has been a huge part of our growth. And sometimes the people that you need to let go of, it's really obvious. Like they're always complaining, they're super negative. When you're around them, you just don't feel good. But sometimes it's not that obvious. And sometimes it's like a slow burn where you're like just feeling a little bit out of alignment in the conversations with these people. The connection isn't quite as it used to be. And I think my philosophy and my perspective on this is sometimes it's a see you later, and it doesn't need to be a fuck you, I'm growing, you're not, you're holding me back. It can sometimes not even require a conversation. It's just not going out for lunch with that person as much. And also sometimes that door reopens later down the road when your guys' paths reconnect and you're more on a similar path again.
Yeah.
Right?
I think when people like, this is the thing, we talked about this in terms of relationships. I think this applies to friends as well. When two people become friends, I think they fall in like with each other for like who they are being in that very moment.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of the friends that I had that ended up being the friends that were holding me back were the friends that I connected with when I was like going out and I was partying and I was like dealing with my problems by smoking a bunch of weed and I was like dealing with my problems by going out to nightclubs and getting blasted and like we just developed a bond over that. And then I think that like something to keep in mind that I believe with all friendships is that I believe that every relationship should be viewed as a win-win. Like I want every relationship in my life to be a win-win. And my definition of a win-win relationship is that both parties involved in the relationship get value from the relationship. And I think when you first like when you're first becoming friends with somebody, if you're not on a personal development journey, you're going out, you're smoking weed, you're partying, you're watching movies, you're doing all the stuff, then those people that you end up connecting with, you do have win-win relationships with because you're both doing things that you both value.
Which at the time is drinking, smoking,
partying,
yeah,
being negative, gossiping, complaining, working your job, whatever it is.
And I would say that's kind of similar. Like for me, like obviously when I was 19, 20, I had my party friends and I got to a place, it was like my boyfriend and my best friend at the time where I was like, this is not beneficial at all. I don't want to live this life anymore. And I had to let them both go. It was one of the most challenging things that I've done, but it also was one of the most, it almost gave me a sense of relief. Like I almost gave myself the permission to start living life a different way. And then from there, like as of recently, it would be, okay, so I met friends when I was in my really anxious, almost like gossipy, complaining. And I know you've said you've noticed like a big shift in me and I just don't feel like that version. You're giving me a grin.
I'm just,
You're giving me a
I'm
grin.
just laughing because when you were friends with the gossipy, and I was like, I just fucking was like,
And he
stay.
would just shake
I
his
was
head
like,
like he
stay
can.
as far away from me as possible.
Yeah. And it just
Stay as
like
far away.
you feed off those people. And then eventually it's like, okay, now this is not serving me either. And so now it's like, I don't find it hard to let go of people anymore. I think I want to watch the way that I word this because I made a video and I actually took it down because I was like, I don't stand behind that message 100%. The video said, nowadays, it's not hard to let people go. Because if someone's not like, if I just don't like somebody, it's easier for me to just be like, you know what? I'm done. I don't really shed a tear. Or if I do shed a tear, it's very short lived and then I feel good again. But what I said was, what is challenging is finding loyal people. But I don't want to say that and stand behind that because I think the world is full of trash people, but I also think that it's full of lots of loyal people. And I think what you give out, you get back. And so for me, up until even the last year, like, I don't want to say I was like a gossip girl, but I could find myself getting lost in those conversations. And so I can't expect myself to all of a sudden decide that that no longer aligns with me and then expect for me to find all those people like on my front doorstep, right? So I think the world is full of a lot of loyal people, but I think in order for you to attract loyal people and not even loyal, in order for you to attract just like genuine people that are committed to growth and want to have the same conversations as you need to be giving off that energy,
Mhm.
right? So I took down the video because I was like, I'm keeping myself in this bubble where I'm not going to attract the people that I want to attract if I tell myself that there's not a lot of them.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep. So first things first, I remember that phase, the Gossip Girl phase.
And I just want to actually touch on this super quick. I think that there's a certain level of getting things off your chest. And a lot of the time, it's not Brian that I go to because he's very like, and I also love Love is Blind. And I love what goes on in there. I love watching it. I enjoy it. But I also don't want to spend like Love is Blind shouldn't be brought into the Mark household.
And it was,
Yeah.
but I just stonewall. But no, I remember the Gossip Girl phase, and I'm like, this is for me like some of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make were making the decision that a friendship that I had for like 14 years was no longer serving me in the way that I was serving it.
Mm.
And like I was doing more for the friendship than, X person. And as a result of that, feeling like for me, it was like I realized that I needed to move on from certain friendships when I realized that like I was actually getting drained by talking to them and I was not getting energy. It's like I
Hmm.
believe friendships are supposed to give you life, give you energy, give you
Hmm.
love. And I feel like when you're in a place with a friendship where like the friendship is actually taking energy away from you, and that can be for a variety of different reasons. Maybe the person's always negative. Maybe they're not working on their goals. Maybe they talk shit about you to your goals. Maybe when they want to go out drinking, they talk shit to you because you're not drinking, whatever it is. Like I believe
Hmm.
that there's like, because I believe in win-wins, if I ever get to a place where a friendship is no longer serving me and it's no longer giving me value and it's actually taking value away from me, taking positive emotions away from me, making myself feel not as good, making myself feel not as motivated, I just don't have space for it. And I think that I'm fiercely loyal. The first thing I'm fiercely loyal to is I'm fiercely loyal to like the direction that I'm going with my life.
Hmm.
That's number one. I'm like fiercely loyal to the direction that I'm going. And
I
like
love that because it's a lot of people will be fiercely loyal to another person to a
I've
fault.
I've done
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm like I've done that and I wasn't
Hmm.
productive in my
Hmm.
previous relationships where
Hmm.
I had people that I like knew that I wasn't that we weren't good for each other. And I'm like, I'm loyal. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
stick this out and end
Hmm.
up burning me. And then I
But
was
loyalty starts with yourself. Like I said,
100%.
in order for you to practice that loyalty that's in integrity with yourself, that you have to practice loyalty with your own feelings and your own emotions and your own like state of mind
At
first.
the end of the day, the only person that's gonna be with you in your actual deathbed is you.
Yeah. Except for remember yesterday in the hot tub what I told us.
Oh yeah, we're gonna die together, holding each other
So
in our
I
arms.
was like, when do you think you're gonna like die? And he's like, I've never really thought about that. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, I think that at 100 years old, we're gonna die in our sleep holding each other so that we
That's our
never have to spend
that's
a
our
moment
affirmation.
apart.
But like consider it though, like in the
Mhm.
reality of the situation is like you are the one that has to live inside, regardless of who you have externally. You're the one that has to live in your own consciousness until the day that you die.
I agree.
And so like having somebody in your life that is constantly affecting your own consciousness, is constantly affecting the way that you feel about yourself, and is
Mhm.
constantly like dragging you down, like is not productive. And this is the thing is like when you actually realize that you've got people in your life that are holding you back, that like are like negative for you, that are sucking your energy, one of the hardest things you will ever have to do is cut them out of your life. Hardest thing you'll ever
And
have
one
to
of
do.
the hardest things you'll ever have to do initially, but I think as you start to value yourself and as you actually start to embody loyalty, like to yourself first, it does get easier. It doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's easy, but it gets
Yeah.
easier because you respect yourself enough to make decisions that hold yourself to that standard that you have set for yourself.
One of my favorite analogies that actually Cole, I don't know if he came up with it or he said it in a video, whatever, but he talks about this concept of a dollar, right? He's like,
Mhm.
and so there's two ways to get to a dollar. He's like, there's multiple ways, but he's like, I'm going to give you two different ways to get to a dollar. Way number one is you have 100 pennies.
Yeah.
Way number two is you have four quarters.
Mhm.
He's like, way number one, he's like, you could have hundreds of people that on a surface level that are around you that are basically like a bunch of people that you just know, right?
Mhm.
Or you could have four quarters and you could have like four like deep relationships with people that are like actually like they actually benefit your life where you both get value from the relationship where it's both a win-win. And I think that like as I started to progress more in, business and life, etc., I realized that like I wanted to be surrounded with like 3 to 5 of like my people.
Yeah.
And like I don't really have space for like tons of extra relationships in my life unless like I know that that's going to be a very high level relationship. Like I just don't have space for it. Like I don't want to go out. I don't want to party. I don't want to drink. I want to sit on the weekends, focus on my goals. I want to go for dinner with my friends, be home by fucking 8. Then I want to wake up the next day at 6 o'clock in the morning and I want to work on my shit. And that's what I want to do. And I think that like when you're on a personal development journey, I think one of the hardest things is that as you're developing yourself, that doesn't mean that the other people around you are also going to be developing themselves. So
Mhm.
as you start committing and saying like, I want to wake up early, I want to work on my goals, I want to go to the gym, I want to exercise more, I want to eat better, all this stuff, that doesn't mean that the other people around you are also going to do that. Now, the hard part about that is if you, like, I believe that if two entities exist in an environment and they have similar character traits and core values, that they align, right? Which is why you meet a friend that likes to party, you like to party, boom, you align. But all of a sudden, when one of the entities in the same environment ends up becoming different and no longer blends in with the environment, I believe that it either causes like a fucking, turmoil in the place that they're in, or they just separate because they no longer resonate. They no longer get value. And I think that a lot of people get stuck in their personal development journey because as they're working on themselves, they no longer resonate with the people that they used to resonate with, but they also are not fully at the level where they're willing to like, or they're able to build relationships with higher level people because they're still developing themselves. I believe that there's this period in life that, you have to like walk the lonely road.
It's so funny that this is where you went because that's where I wanted to go next. I was like, okay, so what about the person who's watching who knows that the people that they're surrounding themselves with are no longer like you just know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just have like your gut is your guide. Okay, so then what I hear from these people, and I've heard this all the time, is well, it's lonely.
100%.
That like success, a lot of your success will come from embracing that solitude. And it was something that I used to avoid at all times. Like I would rather have been surrounded by 10 people that were making me or like essentially just not good for where I was at than to be by myself. And now it's so crazy to me. And I think one of the reasons why I love yoga so much is that being alone is no longer scary. What scared me when I wasn't quite at that like high, I don't want to say high level because it makes me, when I wasn't at the place I'm at now, I just never want to make other people feel less than, you know what I mean? I'm like, when I'm at this high level, but I just wasn't at a space where I really like dove deep into self-development. So I wasn't ready. Like if I had met you 10 years ago and you were where you are now, we wouldn't have connected because I was
We
just
wouldn't have
not,
even seen each
we
other
wouldn't have even seen each
because
other,
that's
which
not how the
right?
universe works.
So that space like is so lonely. And I think that's what's so great about our communities is that although it might not be your next door neighbor or the friends that you used to go out at the bar with, our communities like the Winner Circle and the Change Lives Academy, you connect with people online that are in the same headspace as you.
Yeah.
Some that are beginners to fitness, some that are beginners to business, some that are intermediate, some that are advanced, but just want to connect with these people. So I think it's important to remember that wherever you're at, whether you're just starting your self development journey, whether you're just realizing that the people that you are surrounding yourself with are no longer good for you, that there is people exactly where you're at. It feels lonely because you've been practicing where you were, right? But like your circle and your people and the people that are going to help you grow in this season of your life that might just be there for a season. And you might have to let go of them eventually too. But they are out there. But that space where I don't want to say you're searching for them. I think more or less you're searching for the path back to yourself. And I think that's like where you'll start to attract, you start to practice this person that you you have this vision of this person that you want to become, and you start practicing habits that are going to get you there, that's when you start attracting people that are also going to support your journey to getting there.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that every single major transition in my life, everyone came on the other side of a lonely chapter. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like if I think about when I was like 21 years old and I was working for like a dating company and I decided I was like, I'm a fucking 19-year-old dating coach. What am I doing? I'm like, I need to fucking peace out. So I ended up completely quitting my job, completely like just leaving Calgary. I moved to Kelowna by myself and I started playing football.
Yeah.
Literally just fucking left. And I didn't know anybody. I was fucking lonely as shit. But like that led me to getting a passion for football. Right. And then if I think about when I was 23 years old and I was working in the bars as a nightclub bartender, getting absolutely fucking blasted every night, like just being an idiot. I realized I was being an idiot. I cut myself off from everybody that I fucking knew. I went to a summer camp for like 3 months. I got sober. I started working my vision. And like every single fucking time that I had, and even like as I got sober and clean, 2015, me and a girl were in a relationship.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be with this person forever. We broke up. I chased her across the world to Australia. She didn't answer. So then I flew to Bali by myself for 4 weeks. That's where I built my business in the lonely chapter by myself.
Yeah.
I came back to Canada. I started fucking dominating. It's like you have to go through the lonely chapter because in the lonely chapter, you're like, it's almost like the old version of you dies.
Yeah.
And then the new version of you,
I got goosebumps.
where you start like working on yourself, you start like elevating your mindset, you start becoming more fit, becoming more like integral, you start becoming more disciplined. Like that version of you is built in the lonely chapter. And then when you start going out into the world with that version of you, you start becoming a magnet for new people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm following like hard. And I think what kind of came up while you were talking is that we've turned the chapters. So both of us are very similar, and I've never put this together until this moment on this podcast where like when I traveled to Bali and left it all, it was very similar to you leaving everything in Calgary and coming to Kelowna. You reach this place where you have this understanding that you're better than where you are and there's more for you out there and it needs to be different. So what's interesting is both of us acted on that. And I think I believe, and I could be totally wrong because I can't feel every other human being's feelings. I believe that we all have that feeling at some point in time, that overwhelming feeling of, holy fuck, where I'm at right now is not where I want to be. If I keep waking up and doing the same thing, I'm going to be in the same place in a year. And the difference is that some of us act on it and some of us don't. Right? Like I think every human being has had that feeling. You're at your 9-to-5 job, you're working at McDonald's. Like I had those feelings at A&W and then I was like, oh, I got to fucking leave. But some people stay stuck in parts of their life that were just supposed to be chapters, not their whole story.
Ignoring the call.
Ignoring the call.
Ignoring the call.
Start thinking we always want these podcasts to be valuable for you guys so that you leave the podcast and you feel like inspired to take risks. So I wanted to ask you, so both of us made these decisions where I left my daughter and the job that I had and everything back home to travel to Bali to build this online business. I think part of what drove me is I was secretly in love with you as well. Love makes you do like crazy things. Like I do think that was like I will do crazy things for love. If I love you, bitch, I'm going to be wherever you are. I will show up in your Bali villa. But at the same time, I think regardless of that outcome, that I was just at a place where I was so done. I needed to just burn the boats and give myself this opportunity to start fresh. So what about to those people that have that feeling but aren't acting on it and are waking up doing the same thing, and like a year goes by, they look at their vision board or they think about I call it your virtual vision board. So I think if you can dream it and think of it, it's almost like you create a vision board in your mind. But what we do is we take that vision and we put it on paper. So we see it every day. What do those people do? What's the next step? To just take the risk? Do you know what I mean? Like what would be advice for that? I guarantee that there's one person that's watching this or that's going to listen to this that's like, well, I'm scared and I don't like my job and I don't like where I'm at and I don't like my weight and I don't like my business. What do they do?
You know the funny thing?
What?
I don't think you can tell people to take action.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't think, and I'll explain what that means. Like, I think if I tell you to take action, you won't do it. Because I think people resist that. Like nobody likes being told what to do, right? It's your life. You get to make your own decisions. You get to like, you're ultimately you are the captain of the ship. You are the master of your soul. You are the ultimate determining factor in what turns out in your life. So I can't tell you what to do, but I can share an alternative perspective and I can let you know what will happen if you don't take action. And like, I want you to think about this for like 1 second. Let's just imagine that the next 20 years of your life go by and you live the exact same life that you're living right now. And every single day you wake up, you do the same thing that you're doing today. You go to bed doing the same thing. You wake up, you just live your life on Groundhog Day. But in 20 years time from now, you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize that you've lost 20 years of your life. You don't get to go back. You don't get to make a new decision. You don't get to take a risk. You don't get to try again. That's it. Because when you lose 20 years, you don't get them back.
You don't get them back.
And then you're sitting there in 20 years from now, realizing that you wasted the last 20 years of your life and you never, ever, ever, ever get another shot.
Look
Dude,
at me. I'm like, I
that,
can't.
dude, that thought terrifies me.
That fucking terrifies me.
That thought terrifies me.
Time passes so fast, but think about this. Time passes so fast, you lose those 20 years. But in that, when you hit that 20 years, all you have left is time. All we ever have left is time.
But pause. This is the thing. That time's gonna leave regardless.
Regardless, no matter what you
No
do,
matter what you do, it's
gone.
fucking gone. Bam. And then one day you're gonna die. That's it. Bam. End of the road. That's it. But one sec. I want to finish that thought for a second because this is the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Time is gonna pass regardless. And in that time, you're either gonna hit your goals or not hit your goals. But you're still gonna be fucking older. And like, I don't want my life to go by and for me to look at myself in the mirror and realize that I didn't even fucking try. I didn't even put an effort. I never took the risk. I never hired the mentor. I never made the move. I never left that person that was toxic for me. I never found the dream person because I sat in my fucking bubble and I didn't do anything like ever, every single day. So think about that and actually consider what you want your life to look like in 20 years. And if you don't want it to look like something that you're looking like right now, maybe you should fucking do something about it.
Yeah. That always just hits me so hard. I just like think about when I was 20, 25 and just the level of awareness that I could have brought to that current moment in my life. But it's like, you can't, everything that has happened up until this point, up until right now, I do believe there is some sort of path, some sort of plan. Like we cannot, like punishing ourselves for what we've done in our past is not going to move us forward or change how we feel about the future. It's going to make us resentful. And for so long, like I saw results with punishment. I saw but what are we talking about when we talk about results? I saw results in the gym, but I didn't see results in how I felt. I still felt crappy about myself because all I did was talk crappy about myself to get results on a physical level. So I think self-punishment and punishing yourself for what you've done in the past, I don't care if you're fucking 40, 50, 60, 70. I have seen and heard stories of people who turn their life around at 80 years old, fucking commands that it is going to be the best decade of her life. And I'm like, that is the bitch that I'm going to be like, fucking period. So if you're punishing yourself for the past or you're taking the past into this present moment, you are quite literally taking this time that's going to fucking pass no matter what. And in this moment, like that is a waste. It's a waste, but you have this opportunity, like listening to this podcast, to have a light bulb to go off and say like, I'm meant for more. I can do more. And that's not just me and that's not just you, because if we've done it, then every single one of these people watching can do it as well.
I just posted an Instagram reel and it said, if you take a look at, so if you guys think about this idea of like me and Kirsten talking to you guys on this podcast, you're listening on the other end. It's like, I look like I'm separate from Kirsten, right? Me and Kirsten look separate and you're probably in a different country, different state, different city, whatever. But if you zoom far enough out and you look at the fucking world, you'll see that it doesn't look like we're separate. It looks like one world. I don't see 7.7 billion people. I see one planet. If you zoom far enough out, you see a galaxy. You definitely don't see me and Kirsten as separate. We're pretty much fucking living on top of each other. We zoom far enough out, you see the universe. It's like, we're not fucking different. We're not separate. We're one and the same. I am you, you are me, we are one. What this idea basically means is that if one fucking person has done it on this planet, one out of 7.7 billion, that means it's possible for you. Period. That's my belief, which is why I wake up every single day and I fucking execute relentlessly, because I know that if there's people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozi, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, fucking David Goggins, that's possible.
Plus more.
And also, I'm 33. I'm young and sexy.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I got fucking years to go.
Young and sexy.
So why would I not do everything in my power to be the very best version of myself, the most elevated version of myself, the highest level version of Brian Mark, so that when my time does come, or when I'm 45 years old and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you fucking stud. You did it. You're jacked. You got the body. You got the house. You got the dream car. You got everything. You fucking did it. I'm fucking proud of you. That's the feeling I want to have.
I'm so excited.
I know.
So cool.
I know. I love it. It's so funny because we always talk about time passing fast. And every time I look back at the last year, I'm always like, that was fucking badass.
But also too,
that was badass.
Time
did it again
fast when you're living unconsciously. Like something I've been doing, like time stretches for me. That is like my new belief. And I will die on that hill now. I just adopted it like a month ago. But time passes fast, but at the same time, you have 24 hours to embrace every single day. So I'm priming myself before I go to bed, and I'm having these like really cool dreams where I can interact in my dreams. So now I literally don't just go to bed and then wake up and then times go. It's like I'm embracing every single second of every single day. I'm no longer looking at my phone when I'm driving. I'm listening to a podcast. So now all of a sudden, the time that just went by fast, and I look back, I'm sure when I'm 45, 50, I'm going to be like, holy fuck, how? But right now, I don't feel like time's flying by because I'm embracing everything that I can. My breakfast, like I'm not working while I'm eating, like everything that I'm doing, I am so present and I'm so there. At least that's what I'm aiming to do. And I feel like I get all this extra time because I'm no longer just distracted trying to do 80 things at once. And then all of a sudden it's bedtime. Can we do two people said something and I wanted to touch on it.
Yep.
So one person, and this is going to be really simple. One person said, I want a husband and a family and children, but that's not in my hands. I'm almost 39. Completely disagree. I had a cleaning lady that worked here. She was 42, got pregnant. Two, when we desperately want something, desperation creates resistance. Whenever you desperately want something so bad, so bad, so bad, what type of energy does that create? To me, it creates resistance. So in order for us to get the thing that we say that we want is we need to let go of the desperation and understand that like we ask and it's given. But I don't think that there's like, I don't, if you're 43, 44, 45, like if you get to a place where, okay, you're not able to have a baby, you could adopt a baby. There's always something out there. There's always something out there for you. But like right now, I don't think that a family, a husband and children is in your hands because you don't believe that it can be in your hands. And I think that like belief is the only thing holding you back from that. I talked about this morning. You're not going to find your husband if you don't believe that you can find your husband. How would you? Every guy that you see, if you have this self-limiting belief that all men are assholes, and you see a guy at the gas station and he waves at you, and maybe that's your potential partner, you're going to say, oh no, I'm too old, or he's an asshole. So you're going to cut yourself off from what's supposed to be yours.
And let's go back to this conversation around friends. Are your friends holding you back? You might call one of your friends. You might be like, oh, I saw this guy at the gas station waved at me. And they're like, oh, guys are pigs. Bam.
Exactly. Oh, you're too old to have a baby. You're too old to have a
39.
baby. That's, you shouldn't do that. There's so many risks. And I'm like, oh my God, every person that I'm following right now is like Paige Hathaway, Lynn Lowe's, like they're older than I am and they are having babies. So it's like, I just choose to follow the people that like are embodying the beliefs that I want to embody and that I currently embody. And anyone that tries to put doubt in my mind, like I got a fucking energy shield here. Like you can say it, but it ain't gonna land for me, bro.
Field. I had a conversation with my clients last week where I'm like, so when self-doubt calls, I don't answer.
No.
Just like when friends that hold me back call, I don't answer. They don't call anymore because I never answer. Just, it's easy. It's really simple. You identify the person that you want to be. You decide what character traits you value. You decide what type of people you want to have around you, and you don't accept anything less than that.
Yeah.
I just do not accept anything less than excellence in my friends because that's the level that I'm going to bring to my friendships is loyalty, excellence, passion, love. And like, if somebody isn't willing to meet me with those things, I'm just not going to have space for them. And it's no disrespect.
100%.
It's not like I'm going to fucking talk shit about you behind your back. In fact, I'll never breathe a word. Like, I'm not going to go behind your back and people. I just like, I don't talk about people. I just don't let people in my life that don't benefit me.
We just had a whole weekend and we just had the most like the best conversations. We talked about life. We talked about our future. We talked about where we're going. We talked about upgrades we wanted to do to our house. We didn't spend a second. And like, I'm certain there was probably a lot of conversations going on out in Kelowna about us. And we were sitting there planning our future.
I heard a funny one the other day.
Oh yeah. Was it the one I told you?
Maybe. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. We're about to, but also like for me, it's like, I don't like, it doesn't bother me when I hear those conversations because I know that 90% of my conversations are growth oriented. Okay. The last one I wanted to, someone said, I believe it was Casey. She said, how do you get it when time passes so fast and so on and so forth? How do you let that drive you and not paralyze you? Like
it only paralyzes you if you're not taking action.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, I don't like, this is the weird thing. Okay. I genuinely do not notice time passing as fast as it does. And some like, it's already the middle of fucking January. How the fuck did that happen? I don't notice so because if you look at my calendar, it's packed from fucking start to finish from 4 o'clock in the morning all the way till 6 p.m. every day. It's packed. And so it's not like I'm sitting there throughout the day being like, oh my God, time is passing. It's just, I'm just working on it. It's like I'm working on my shit every single day. I'm doing things that I know are going to get me close to my goals and I'm getting better at those things and I'm advancing in those skills. And so like, I don't notice time passing because I'm immersed in the thing that I want to do, which is why I think online coaching is like the fucking best career to get into, period. Because when you're an online coach, you literally get to work on things that you love and also help people and make money. Called Change Lives, Make Money for a fucking reason. It's great. I don't notice. Did you notice we've been talking for 30 minutes? I
No,
didn't.
but I've been just enjoying it.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah.
notice. I don't like the
Yeah.
reason it doesn't paralyze me is because I have awareness that it's gonna leave. And because of that awareness, I fucking work relentlessly on the shit that I love.
And I just want to say something because I want to give like a perspective on that. Yours is like, I just work and my schedule's packed. And sometimes, like, I think we have this belief that those actions need to be hit 10K steps, wake up at 3 a.m., work at my business for 4 hours. And that was my driving force for so long. And it literally led me to a place where I was like, I cannot look at my computer. I am no longer feeling happiness. So I think sometimes that action is like, I need to go out to a forest and I need to scream at the top of my lungs. I need to play my favorite song and drive around in the BB wagon with a fucking microphone and take 2 to 3 hours to myself. So I think sometimes that action isn't what we think it is. Like it's really about becoming in tune with your body and actually knowing what is best for your body. Because wow, it completely packed. Like if I book a call with, I have one client that I do calls with, one client. That is one, and I have one space for it because I wouldn't do back to back to back to back to back to back calls because I would be fried by the end of it. Check-in day, I break it up. I start doing some in the morning, take a breakfast break. It's not back to back to back. I go for a little walk with my dog. I come back. So the action that you think you need to take needs to also feel aligned with what you actually need. And I think actually knowing what you need in a moment is a powerful skill that more people need to learn. Because I used to think what I need is what Brian Mark's doing because Brian Mark is getting results. So I need to post 6 times a day and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to post 6 times a day. I post 3 times a day. And I think that is badass. And I don't want to post 6. If I ever want to post 6, it's not going to be because Brian Mark does. It's going to be because it's what feels good for Kirsten Mark. Period.
Tell him. Well,
yeah, I'm going to fucking tell him.
That's a wrap, folks. We got to end the pod. So 2 things. 1, we'll do 3. 1, if you're surrounding yourself right now with people that you know are holding you back, like do an honest self-assessment and ask yourself if it's a win-win relationship.
Yeah.
Like if you're on a growth path and they're not on a growth path, like that to me is going to present an issue at some point.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a big believer in just like fucking cutting people off and cutting people out and fucking just like, fuck you, never talking to you again. In fact, like I would love, like my whole thing in life is like, I want to bring my whole fucking squad with me. That's how I operate. It's like, if you look at how I move, like Cole was literally my best client, turned him into my business partner, became my best friend, gave him 40% of my business. Like I want to bring my whole squad with me, but I also am not going to let people around me that aren't going to display the same character traits that I embody on a day-to-day basis because I'm so loyal to my own vision that I'm not going to let anything else get in the way. So I think it's really getting clear on like what you want, who you want to become, and like who you want to surround yourself with. If you're in a place right now where you are surrounded by people that you feel like are holding you back, then it might be time to embrace the lonely chapter.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't mean that you're fucking savage and you're like, oh, fuck you, I'm never talking to you again. But like, just embrace the lonely chapter. Spend more time by yourself. Spend more time getting clear on what you want. Spend more time thinking about your vision and the place you'd like to get to. And then when you do that for a long enough period of time and you become the person that you wish to become, you're going to start to attract the other people that end up resonating with you and you'll build a new fucking circle, baby.
Fucking meant that. And we're going to end with this, babe. Someone just commented, so proud of you guys. I just posted my vision board and you and Brian are on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Fucking cute.
It's cute as fuck. Cool. I received that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, y'all. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have the best day of your entire lives. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Babe, where do they find you?
You can find me at The Real Kirsten Mark on IG and across all platforms. I got dark hair, big boobs, tattoos, and a boss and bitch energy about me.
Cool. Peace, love, and protein. Have the best day of your entire life. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Let's fucking go. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Hopefully you got some value. If you did, and you want to learn more about how me and my team can help you scale your online fitness business to $10,000 a month, DM me 10K on Instagram at TheRealBrianMark for more information, and I'll reach out to you to see if I can help you grow an online coaching business.